Oops.
Yeah.
So hi there. I don't know whether to begin or not. Still a few minutes left, or at least a minute. Yes.
Make sure you record your presentation.
Yes, I am recording already.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I forgot to record my first one, so that's bad. So my name is Tomas. Oh, which presentation is that? Wait for it. Danilevicius. This is my surname. I hope I'm on correct presentation here. Hopefully. Some of you already know me from the first presentation this morning. I was talking about newsletters, how to code it. Right now, no, I'm on the wrong presentation actually. Going back. This is the correct one. Okay, here we go. And today I'm going to talk about a library called Bootstrap. I don't know if you're aware of that. I'm not going to tell you how to be more creative. I'm not going to tell you how to create more amazing stuff. I'm going to talk about coding. Okay. Usually coding is quite scary task to do for most of the people, especially the ones who never saw how to do it. And I would like to present you Bootstrap Library, which allows you to do this without actually knowing HTML, CSS, or JavaScript code. It still involves coding, but it's more or less copy-pasting from their website. Okay, so let's begin with the problem. Usually, if you have a startup, you have a brilliant idea you would like to develop and make it live, you will definitely need to have certain process how you develop it, right? So first of all, everything begins with research. So probably generating some ideas, making assessments of the markets, outlining your application, site mapping, everything, reviewing everything, and moving on to wireframing. This is another important step usually needed to be taken when you're creating a new project, when you're trying to create a new idea for the world. Wireframing usually is done in specific programs where you put all the things you will have in your application or website and give this wireframe to a designer who would be able to draw something on top of it. Okay, so wireframing includes content generation as well, and basically outlining your future application. After that, design process. Design process includes creating landing pages, creating inner pages, and thinking how the user interface should work, how the user experience should work. There's a lot of processes included there, which I'm not listing because, well, there's a lot of stuff happening depending on what kind of thing you're trying to create. And the last probably, well, it's not the last one, but after design process, usually there's a coding process where you actually give the design to a developer, give documentation that you created in the research stage of the project, so people would be able to code it according to functional requirements. Validation and testing is also vital part of this process, as you need to make sure everything is working correctly on all browsers, on all devices. So there's also a lot of things that happen. And the last, but not least, is the launch step, where you actually launch your application. Usually there's a lot of things like refining your code, refining your design involved, until you have a properly working product which can be let alive to the world. From all these steps, I would like to highlight 3: wireframing, designing, and coding. And I would like to focus attention on designing and coding in general, because this is what takes up to 70% of all project time. Making something, creating something, and designing something usually takes a lot of time. All the other processes, well, this actually also depends on what kind of thing you're creating, but whenever I was working on any project, this was the number I get in the end after all processes pass by. Usually the problem is that most of the startups, there's a lot of people generating ideas every day, and most of the startups doesn't have money or time to actually spend to create the project fully by following all the steps. So Bootstrap is one of those tools which will allow you to focus only on coding and leaving designing for later stages. So you don't need to hire a designer, you don't need to spend money there, you don't need to waste time there. You just take Bootstrap Library and start coding on top of it. So what is Bootstrap Library? It's a comprehensive HTML, CSS, and JavaScript so-called framework or library. And initially it was created at a company called Twitter. All the Twitter interface is very familiar to Bootstrap because it was the same guys who created it. Then they saw how popular this got, took the Bootstrap library out of Twitter away, created their own company, and now I don't know what they're doing, but they're doing a good job still. So Bootstrap is used to develop responsive, mobile-first projects on the web, for the web. Applications as well is included in this. And in other words, it allows small businesses, startups, and even non-developers to create user interfaces, to create websites more easily and quickly. So let's begin with the word responsive. Do you all know what it is? What is a responsive website? All right, so this is some example of responsive website. You can see that more or less the design is the same, but there is some adjustments for each of the device on the screen. And usually this is done by using CSS code and some HTML code. You just design your website in certain columns, which then can be rearranged depending on your resolution, on device resolution. It also depends on proportion-based grids, or proportion-based grid, which is that feature, that columns that you create in the code, where you're then able to put your content. And once again, depending on the screen resolution, that content can be moved differently, basically how you specify it to be moved. There was another thing which is also important, mobile first. Once again, do you know what is mobile first? More or less. So basically, most of the time when the responsive era began, people were creating normal website and then adding additional code to make sure this website can be viewed on smaller and smaller screens. So when we talk about mobile first, actually the process is inverse. You begin with mobile phones. Then you move on to larger devices like tablets, and even larger devices, desktops. Okay, so this is one of the examples of mobile first CSS code. So by default, I'm specifying that my border radius over there is going to be 0 on navigation. So basically, that means that when I load a website in the mobile phone, it's going to stick as a square to the top of my screen, right? But then when I move to a resolution higher than 768 pixels, this is going to create rounded borders. 10 pixel rounded borders on the same element. So this is one of the examples how the code works and how you're able to do certain things with it. So let's talk about grids. Grids are a certain way to separate your website into these small chunks, into these pink areas that you currently see on the screen. I hope it is visible for you all. And basically, what I'm able to do, I'm able to say that certain element in my code will take up as much as 3 columns. For example, this image over here, you can see that it is actually taking 3 columns of my space. And that means that the rest of the columns are used to put different content in it. And I'm able to break down my website into these kind of groups and columns, whatever I want and need. Bootstrap uses 12-column grid system, which is, if we talk about fixed layout, it is put inside of 960 pixels. So 960 pixels are divided into 12 equal columns, which then can be used to put the content in. Okay, so here's some code, here's some actual code from the Bootstrap library, which is using, which is creating 8-column left side of my website and 4-column in width right side of my website. All this code needs to be placed inside of div by the name with the class container, or there's another class available for you, which is called container fluid. The difference is that container is going to use 960 pixels, and the website will be centered exactly in the middle of the screen on large devices, while fluid will make it full width, 100%. So it's going to take all the space available from left to the right, and separate this space to 12 equal columns. The next thing which is important in grids, this is related to Bootstrap Library. You may find other grid frameworks out there which probably will be working a bit differently, but I do like how Bootstrap works. So the next thing that you need to create is a row. Row you can imagine as a normal table row, inside of which you would be placing and separating columns. If you have, for example, blog articles that you want to list, so this is going to be first row. After first row, you would create another one which would list, for example, your portfolio or anything separated logically from the first part. So once again, this is quite powerful. And let's move on. There's two div with class call-md-8 and call-md-4 created here inside of the row. These are actually the columns. So once again, I'm telling that my left side of the website will be taking 8 columns space, and right side will take 4. So it's going to be split to this unknown percentage, 70 to 30, something like that. So yeah, this is how grids work. We will be able to see them more a bit later. Let's talk about Bootstrap even more. What is it? Okay, so breakpoints. This is very important. Usually you can create as many breakpoints as you need. Bootstrap by default provides you 4. So in previous example you saw that there was call-md-8. This is a medium browser width is used, which is targeting devices which resolution is higher than 999 pixels. I'm able to create as many that kind of classes on single element and have different behavior on different screen sizes. So once again, there are 4 main breakpoints in Bootstrap Library. So the ones that has LG in the middle of class name will target devices which resolution is higher than 1200 pixels. CallMD 999, including 999. SM or small, this is going to target tablets. So if you look at this, anything that is higher than 768 but less than 992 will be targeted. This is how it works. It actually takes a range of screen sizes. After it reaches this number, everything is treated as medium size resolution. And there is XS or extra small class, which is for mobile devices. Usually you won't need that one, but if you want to rearrange default behavior, how the columns are positioned, because on mobile devices usually it's just flow, it's going one after another. It doesn't have 2 columns, 2 sides, the website. Does that make sense what I'm telling you? Okay. So yeah, so usually it's a flow, but you're able to create columns if you want as well. All right, and Bootstrap comes with a lot of stuff. It's fully packed. There is a lot of things defined by default. And it even can be extended. So there's a lot of third-party plugins that were created for Bootstrap to create different functionality, different components. I'm going to review what is by default inside of the Bootstrap. So, yeah, this is some excerpt from their examples page. You can see different buttons here, table styling. So this is only a part of default CSS styling inside of Bootstrap. And since there is a lot of stuff, I didn't want to create screenshot for everything that is out there, so I just went with a simple list. So what you don't need to worry about. Typography. This is by default defined by Bootstrap, so you will have all the heading sizes specified for you, all the paragraphs, all the inline elements like strong, span, anchor, everything that is already defined. You just take the library and start using it right away. Tables. By default, all the tables are styled. You just need to additionally specify class attribute with a table value on a table, and it's going to work right away. There's a lot of different styles of tables you can choose from, and once again, since there's a lot of stuff, I'm not going into very much details over there. Forms. Well, this is, for me, forms was always a very tricky thing to style and create. So thanks for Bootstrap, it is actually by default styling all form elements available, including select boxes, check boxes, etc. So once again, you just copy in some code, some HTML code, and it will start working out of the box. Buttons. This probably belongs to forms, but more or less, buttons can be used not only in the form. It can be used to create, for example, close button on a pop-up. So along with the buttons, there's a lot of different styles that you can use, and another great thing is that links, a simple anchor tag, just a link, can be turned into a button just by adding a specific class to it. So depending on your needs, you're able to use either button tag with specific class or anchor tag with specific class. Images. Well, this also eases up life when you need to create galleries, when you need to create a list of images. So by default, they have some styling. You're allowed to add captions, and everything listed here will be responsive by default. So it takes a lot of pain from your head. Yeah, I'm not, this is just, well, it's probably 80% of stuff that is available. So once again. So the second section in Bootstrap Library, when you visit Bootstrap, getbootstrap.com website, we'll talk about components. Components are a certain HTML markup and CSS styling that was created to work together. And components are usually a bit much bigger thing than just elements that you're using in HTML code. So for example, you're able to create, well, this is, once again, progress bars, list groups taken from their example page. They look kind of nice, doesn't it? And so, once again, I'm just going to give you a quick overview, quick list, what it is right there. It provides you with glyph icons. I don't know how to pronounce it correctly. Glyph. Is it with the short I? Glyph icons? Okay, thank you. So these are just icons that you are able to use on buttons, in your lists, and basically anywhere you want. All the code, once again, is provided by Bootstrap, how to use it and what are the possibilities. Since there's a lot of components, here I went crazy and start grouping all the components together by more or less their meaning and size in this library. So button groups and drop downs are there for you as well. So once again, without knowing any HTML, JavaScript, or CSS code, you're able to create this kind of navigations bar where you hit on an arrow and it expands a menu, additional submenu, where you can choose other options. navigation, breadcrumbs, pagination. So these are all components. Navigation is usually the big navigation bar at the very top of the website where you're able to access the main parts of the application or the website. Breadcrumbs help you navigate inside of the structure. Websites usually are quite big in structure, so if you go deep inside, for example, I know in some kind of category and then blog post, etc. So breadcrumbs are a thing that lets you create this kind of navigation where you are, how deep in the structure you are right now. And pagination, well, this is just to create pages for your lists, probably. It's just going crazy. Labels, badges, alerts, progress bars. I will be able to overview that with some kind of visual on my computer, so that probably won't make any sense to me to try to explain it, what it is, how it works, and how it looks. Wells, panels, list groups. So as you can see, there's a lot of stuff. Once again, this is not it. This is not the full list, but there's a lot of stuff that is given to you to be used in your website. And the third section is called JavaScript, but don't worry, you won't need to know much of JavaScript to be able to work with it. Everything, once again, is in documentation. The documentation is quite descriptive and clear what you need to do, what you need to add, and where you need to add it to make it work. But without JavaScript, we won't be able to create these kind of pop-ups, which then can be closed, or, for example, Bootstrap provides you with a carousel component, so you just put the images you want in the carousel, and it will automatically scroll those images. It will automatically change those images while the website is open. Yeah, this is a print screen of carousel, so it's currently changing from slide 3 to slide 1. And furthermore, Bootstrap is easily themable. So either you're able to find a theme you like, include it in your code, and you will have absolutely different visual of all those components and CSS code. Or if you like to challenge yourself, you can go ahead and create one yourself. If you're familiar with coding, there is a tool called Less CSS. So Bootstrap Library was written with that, and if you're familiar, it shouldn't take long for you to get familiar with it and create your own theme. Whenever I need anything, I just use Google. Yeah, once again, a print screen from a website called Bootswatch. They have a lot of free themes for you to use, but this is not my recommended resource, nor it's the only one resource out there. I just randomly picked out one which had the most beautiful list of themes available. Okay, so this is more or less my last slide that I have right now, and I would like to show you how to code with Bootstrap and how it's actually easy to do that. Okay, so don't get scared. This is going to be, I'm going to create a lot of HTML code. So first of all, let me open up Bootstrap website. The address is, sorry, I need to connect to Wi-Fi before I can do that. Okay, come on, connect. All right, I'm connected. Okay, so this is the initial view that you will get when you visit this website. my messy desktop, sorry. And there's some overview, what it is, what it does. Most of the stuff I actually told you already, so you should know a lot about it. Once again, probably what I forgot to mention is that this tool is free to use for any type of website. So it might be commercial, might be personal, it doesn't matter. You just take it, use it, and that's it. So yeah, so CSS actually tells you about what is here, how to use it. It will explain grid system very deeply. I hope that will be easy for you to understand. And yeah, I think I'll just switch to my Sublime Text, which is my primary development tool, and start coding. I don't know if you're familiar with HTML code, but once again, I hope this won't scare you a lot. So currently, I'm quite lazy to create the code myself, so I'm just going to copy paste what Bootstrap Library provides me. So this is HTML5. It's quite visible. Okay. There is probably everything I need already specified in the code. The only thing that I'm missing is the Bootstrap library itself. So let me quickly download. I hope it's not going to take long. Downloads. Yeah, it is included in your HTML code. It must be included in your HTML code, and it seems like I already have it. So I just need to find it. Okay, this is it. So it provides me with CSS, JavaScript files, and also fonts file. Fonts file is used to display glyph icons. Okay, I'm just going to copy it inside of my project. Let me see if it is actually already working. It looks like it's working. Okay. Once again, I'll just quickly check whether everything is actually loaded. Yes, all the libraries are there. So everything usually begins with creating some kind of container where you will be putting all your content. So I'm just going to switch to code, and instead of hello world, I'm going to add div with a class container on it. So if you remember, there's two options you can choose from. Container is a fixed width, and there's container fluid, which is full width.
What did you just do after the download? Did you put the folders next to this index page?
Yes, I did. I'm sorry I didn't explain that.
Those three, or the top?
I already had my index.html file defined, right? So what I did, I actually copied CSS, fonts, and JS folder from the zip package, yeah, from the download, and just copied them inside of this folder. And if you copy HTML code the same way I did from the Bootstrap library, paste it and save it as index.html, you should be able to use it right away because it has all the links already specified here. So the next thing I need to create is a div with a class row, and inside of that I need to put my columns. So I'm going to begin with the same example I had in my slides. I'm going to put class, this is call md8, content left, and additionally I'm going to create another div with call md for content right. Now, to make sure this is visible in my browser, I'm going to additionally add background coloring, so we would see how it is working and how the responsiveness is reacting to what I do. I've added background red to the left one and background green to the right one. Okay, so since my resolution is currently 1024 pixels, I already have this kind of mobile view on my screen. So if I try to minimize the window, it will just stick there. But once again, since I'm able to use the classes for smaller resolutions as well, instead of specifying MD, I'm going to go with SM. Okay, so I just changed MD to SM, switching back to Chrome, refreshing. Here we go, we have content left, content right. Once again, if I try to resize this window, you will see that at a certain point, those two elements are kind of breaking there. The red thing appears below the red one. And I'm also allowed to have different classes specified for different resolutions. So if I wanted to make sure that on very small resolution or extra small class, I would like to have this kind of inverted view, I just need to specify column XS 4 and column XS 8. So I just inverse that. Is it visible? So that means for this resolution that I have right now, green area will be smaller than the red one, but when I switch to smaller resolution, it's going to jump, it's going to inverse. So this is one of the things that is possible to do with the grid systems. And you're able to rearrange it any way you want. Is there any questions so far? Is everything clear? Okay. So I'm going to move to component section. And well, first of all, this is the glyph icons that you're able to use in your code. There's a quite huge list of those available for you. So basically for any project you should be okay, unless you have something very specific. Now, talking about these icons, these are not images. Okay, this is actually a font file that is being used as images. Well, and the cool thing with this is that they're totally vector. Do you know what's the difference between raster and vector? Okay, so vector, when you scale it, it keeps its proportions, it doesn't pixelate. Whereas if you scale a raster, it will pixelate and will blur out, basically. The image won't look any good. So since these icons are a font, and all the fonts in browsers are vectorical, I'm able to control the size of the icon by specifying font size. I just specified it to be 50 pixels, and I can make it larger and larger. And you can see that there's no loss of quality here. Yeah, so these glyph icons are taken from another library which is called Font Awesome. There's a limited list here, so if you compare that to the parent library, to Font Awesome, this is nothing, because Font Awesome includes, I'm not sure how much icons there are available right now, but the list is huge. And if I just did this kind of scroll, you will see how much stuff you can use. So if you want something more, some more icons, you can always turn to Font Awesome library and just include it in your project. Once again, just a quick thing that I remember doing. So I'm just going to grab this visa icon, and additionally, there's a lot of stuff you can do with Font Awesome. So if I specify FA spin class, you will see that it is actually animated. The icons can be animated as well. So you're able to create, once again, yes?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm in the library, get Bootstrap. Do you have specific libraries where you can get these terms like spins?
Bootstrap Library strips these kind of things out. But if you include Font Awesome as additional library, you will be able to use it in your code with all the supplementing classes that you can use. I think I specified it a bit wrong, so I'm just now animating only visa sign. Yeah. So this allows you to create more scalable content. Right, let's go back to Bootstrap. So this was glyph icons. Yeah, there's some example code how glyph icons and buttons can be used together. So once again, you're not limited to creating anything you need just by using the code provided. But I'm particularly interested into navigation bar. This is one of the first things that needs to be added. So I'm just going to, on the bigger resolutions, you have the side menu. Here it's hidden, so I just need to scroll until I will find it. But once again, as you can see, there's a lot of stuff. Okay, navigation bar. So once again, let me show you how one would use the navigation bar. This is more or less how it looks like. Due to small resolution, it's kind of breaking in the wrong place, but I'm just going to take all this code provided by Bootstrap documentation and easily paste it in my code. I'm not going to do anything else. Just paste the code, go back to my project, and voila, I've created a navigation bar which I then can customize and make it to suit my needs. So for example, if I wanted, instead of nonsense I have right now in that navigation bar, if I wanted to have Academy class listed somewhere, I just need to find a place where it actually specifies brand. So here we go. This is the link that is used to create some kind of branding. So instead of brand, I'm going to go with Academy class, go back to Chrome browser, refresh it, and voila, I have navigation bar with my own branding. I can put a logo there, or once again do whatever I need to do. And let's do just that. Mm-hmm.
So I don't quite understand how that would differ from a logo.
Well, glyphs, you won't be able to use glyphs to put your logo in. This is additional feature that allows you to style your buttons, add some kind of meaning to the button. And when we talk about the logo, it just needs to be added as an image. Yeah. So I mean, just to quickly, I'm going to find Academy class logo in images. This one I'm going to use real quickly. Instead of the text here, I'm going to insert image with the source pointing to this location, and I'm going to specify width to be 150 pixels. Okay, this is it. Let's go back. Well, it's more or less there. I'm not saying it's sitting there perfectly. You will still need to customize it and to make it work on different resolutions, but this is just pure HTML. And the thing I really wanted to show you about navigation bar is its responsive features. Let me put brand one more time so Academy class logo wouldn't be messing everything up. Like this. So take a note, whenever I'm starting to resize my window, at a certain point it will break to this collapsed list. So I can click here and I will have all my menu items listed inside. And you don't need to worry about it. It's done by Bootstrap. Inside I have some drop downs. If I click on those, I'm able to access even deeper levels of my menu. If I come back to my normal width, drop downs will look something like this. To customize navigation bar, you do need to know a bit of HTML, which is nothing very complicated. If you take a look to the code that is present right here, you will see that all the links are defined like this. It's a li, this element here, li stands for list item, and then inside of the list item you have anchor, which is the element that creates a link. Okay, so if you want to specify this link to point to Google, you would need to add Google right here, and you need to change this tag, which is in between opening and closing of this A letter. The closing area is this one, and the opening is this one. Change to, for example, Google UK. Save the document, switch back to browser, refresh, and voila, we have Google UK link. When I click on it, it will take me to Google. That's pretty easy. If you don't need certain functionality which we by default copy in the code, like let's drop out these drop downs from here, you just strip away the code. One drop down is gone. I can see that second drop down is also identified by class drop down, so this is what I need to remove. And I just made my menu simpler. Is it still interesting and clear? Yeah. Okay. So let's move forward into components. What component would you like to see? What kind of, do you have any preferences? There is one component which name I find very weird. It's called Jumbotron. It actually is a nice component, but I don't know why they decided to go with this name. And word Jumbotron has nothing to do with this kind of look. So once again, this is actually working in the browser. Below it, I will have some code which I need to put in my newly created website. So I just copy this, go back to the code, and I think I will place it inside of container. So I'm just going to paste it here. See what happens. So let's switch back to the browser, to the template that we're creating, and just refresh the page. Voila. It was that easy. I hope that customizing it will be also easy. Hello, all the people. So that's it. I just changed my heading. I'm able to add some text here. I'm able to change the name and location where this Learn More button leads to by just using the code provided by Bootstrap Library.
If I want it less high, I have to go into the CSS and change the manually?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, you would have to do that.
If I change it there, will it then still work with the, do I have to change it for all the sizes?
It will, no, it will work. It will work out of the box, yeah. You're just building on top of what is currently available. You probably will need to tweak it a bit to make smaller resolutions use smaller padding, for example, or also use smaller size, but more or less it's not very hard to work on top of this library as well.
And if I want to change the navigation bar background,
Once again, you will need to access CSS code and change it, or you can find a theme that you like and just include it in your code. The theme should be included in your code so it would get different look as well. By default, Bootstrap comes with 2 color options for navigation bar. If I'm right, if I change navbar default to inverted, no, that didn't do the trick. Just invert? Oh, inverse. Yep, thank you. Yeah, but it's only 2 options, either light gray or black. If you want anything else, you need to customize or find a theme that you like.
The theme is for the whole page, right?
Yes. Okay, and what else can we do here? I think let's try out something from other section, which is called JavaScript, just to show you that the word JavaScript isn't that scary. There's a lot of things that can be created, transitions. I'm looking for carousel, and this is it. Once again, this is the code. I'm going to copy it and expect it to work right away without changing anything to it. Okay, let's see how it works. I'm not sure whether this is going to work, but yeah, it's not that easy. I probably need to depend on documentation to find out how I need to use it properly. Okay, so this is it. It actually says that it should be working right away. Yeah, I think this is because we don't specify any images there. Copy image URL. Yeah. Once again, I'm just going to blindly copy some image. Okay, that's better. And it is working. That's all I needed to do. Copy paste in some code. Of course, there's a lot of things you can exclude or include when we talk about these components. Components are usually quite customizable, but I hope this was clear what the Bootstrap is and what kind of power it has. Do you have any questions?
if it was a JPEG that was going in there, what would you put in the code? How would you put in the JPEG?
JPEG.
Yeah.
All right, so let's find a random JPEG. Let's go with the kitty. It's not the nicest kitty, but no, this is PNG. Does it matter? Extension? No? So I'm just going, I won't be using the URL, I'm just going to save the image to location where I've created these files. I will create another folder img right here and just save this as kitty. Okay, so kitty has been downloaded. And so instead of this source that I had placed before, I'm just going to specify file location. Okay, so img kitty.png file. Now when I go back to my browser and refresh the page, here we go, here's the kitty, and I can slide it out. Yes?
When you want to customize the CSS, do you just basically overwrite that file that you copied from the Bootstrap library, or do you create a new CSS?
I'm creating a new file. I'm creating a new file which is included later in the code, and then I'm overwriting the things. By the way, talking about extending Bootstrap or customizing Bootstrap, at Academy class during the trainings, we're usually working with Bootstrap Library. So this is Academy class website. Well, it's not the original one, but what we do in the class, we take Bootstrap Library, and on top of that, we create either JavaScript interactivity, we create some styling, and since this is based on Bootstrap, this website is fully responsive as well. It takes a bit to actually do this kind of customization, but I don't know, maybe you will find it easy to use. Yes?
You can also customize Bootstrap and get Bootstrap.com, the generator, so you can change the colours and customize it or download it.
Yeah, you can. But if you look at this kind of customization, you will see that there's a lot more that's been done to it. So, but everything is possible. It's just, as I like to say, imagination is your limit. So,
Is this all HTML5?
it is HTML5 and CSS3.
So you know the coloured section at the top, would you call that an banner?
You're talking about the menu?
No, you know, the coloured section with the imagery.
Yeah,
That's an e-banner.
that's a carousel. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. If you have any additional questions, just find me, ask me, I will help you out. Is that okay?
To know more about Bootstrap and the website and some
Inspiration.
no, know more about Bootstrap, how it works. Tutorial on the website.
Yeah, everything is on their website. It's a huge documentation website. I don't know any tutorials, but I will be able to upload what I talked about today, if that's going to help you. That's going to be uploaded at a certain point. And yeah, so,
Okay, thank you very much.
yeah, no problem.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I want to ask you, I'm really impressed with your design that you did with your presentation right from the beginning. It's very simple, minimalist, which is very eye-catching.
That's Keynote, Apple Keynote.
Apple Keynote.
And this is one of the themes available, so I just picked up the theme and just used it and didn't thought about it twice.
Okay, because I was like so prepared to ask you like if you can recommend me any books that could be